G E N E R A L S.
Kiara and I are here to provide the land acknowledgement for the class of 2020.
We would like to give a special shout out to all of the Native graduates throughout Portland Public Schools. Portland Public Schools is located within the city of Portland, Oregon in Multnomah County. As graduates of Portland Public's class of 2020, it's essential that we acknowledge that every school building, court, field, stadium, office, local field trip, and learning space we've utilized during the many years of our learning journey has taken place on Indigenous land. As such, we honor the tribal people whose way of life, traditions, culture, and in every sense, ways of being was taken from them. Acknowledgement is a simple, powerful way of showing respect for those whose land we are on and step toward correcting the stories and practices, language, and art that erase Indigenous people's history and culture, and toward inviting and honoring the truth and relationship with our Indigenous land, resources, and communities. Indigenous people have lived here since time immemorial for thousands of years in the past. The Portland metropolitan area covers both sides of the Columbia River and both sides of the Willamette River, spanning into surrounding counties. In this broad area, there were numerous tribes, peoples, and villages that honored the abundance that the lands offered. We honor their history and acknowledge the sacrifices they made.
In the Portland metropolitan area, the tribes are the Multnomah, which is a band of the Chinook, the Wasco, Cowlitz, Klamath, Clackamas, Tualatin, Kalapuya, Malawa, and many other tribes who made their homes along the Columbia and Willamette River. Let us also acknowledge the robust present-day federally recognized tribes of this area, the Grand Ronde, Siletz, and Cowlitz. It is within the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde and the Confederated Tribes of Siletz, Indians, that many of the families of the bands just listed now reside. In addition, we would like to acknowledge the Chinook Nation, which has been seeking federal recognition for many years. The urban Indian community is made up of tribal diversity that originates from around the country, representing at least 380 tribes, with more than 100 tribes represented among Portland Public Schools students and families. Native students show resilience in school from the age of 3 when they enter preschool or PPS Native Montessori through high school graduation. The urban Indian community has a vivid history and present-day presence made up of people whose journeys have brought them to Portland through which ways of forced displacement or seeking better opportunities. Today, these tribes and communities celebrate their heritage, showing resilience and tenacity, which would be greatly admired by their ancestors.
Hello everyone, I hope you are all staying safe and doing well during these crazy times. I'm Ruby Postian, and I was the student body president during this past school year. Before I start, I want to mention I wrote this speech before the recent protests against police brutality in honor of George Floyd. I'm so proud of our community joining together to fight injustice. Anyways, as I reflect on the past 4 years, it amazes me that we have grown up in an incredibly historical time. We entered high school during the peak intensity of the 2016 election, and afterwards we marched in the Women's March, we marched for our science, we marched for our lives, and we marched for our climate, all while growing into adulthood trying to figure ourselves out. Not only did we grow up for a historical time in the world, we experienced a historical time for Grant. Our grade was the last class to experience the old Grant, go to Marshall for 2 years, and return to the brand new campus. The old Grant campus was physically worn down, but felt like a home base for our community. The decades of education created a sense of community that told stories through the art on the walls and the messages on desks. The last few weeks of that school year was spent packing up our classrooms and writing on the walls. When we returned to school the following year, we started a 2-year journey at the Marshall campus. While it was a struggle to commute across town each morning, we made the best of it by taking public transportation, school buses, and carpooling with friends. After 2 years of strolling around Marshall's campus and trying out new parking spots, we returned to a brand new campus where we continued as seniors in high school. This past school year, we celebrated homecoming by wearing togas, actually ate in the cafeterias instead of the hallways, cheered on our peers in the brand new gym, researched for school projects in the library and CCC, and attended Grantasia in the brand new auditorium. We took classes and joined clubs that seemed interesting to us. From Grant Magazine to screen printing to equity to guitar, we had so many opportunities to explore our passions and create new hobbies. Outside of class, we joined clubs like Bagel Club, National Honor Society, Fiber Arts Club, and Let's Talk. The list of clubs could go on. However, we are now graduating high school during a worldwide pandemic. Our class has transitioned so much during these past 4 years that it only makes sense we end our high school career with a worldwide major event. With so many historical events shifting our high school experience, I cannot wait to see where the future takes us and how we will change the world. I can't wait for this all to be over so we can celebrate as a class. However, until then, make sure y'all are staying safe and practicing social distancing. Thank you, and go Generals.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of a man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. Thank you, class of 2020. I'm gonna miss all my teachers and my friends. Hooray, class of 2020! Yay! Woohoo! Woohoo! Mason the dog 4 chicken nuggets.
Hey, hey!
Congratulations! Hi, family!
So your diploma's in here, and I think there's also something else in there. And so take your diploma out so you have it ready for your picture up front. Hey, Max. Good job, buddy. Congratulations. Way to get it done.
Castle goes on the other side.
This is Guadalupe Guerrero, and as superintendent of the Portland Public Schools, I want to extend to the class of 2020 a hearty congratulations on your graduation. We are so proud of you, and you should be really proud of yourselves for reaching this important milestone, and also because we know it has taken a lot of hard work to get to this point. As an educator, I know that this moment is likely made possible because of a lot of individuals who have stood by you growing up and have been there to support you during your academic career. Graduations are a key moment for celebrating and reflecting on your successes and growths. You may be thinking about the long nights you may have spent completing an assignment, or cramming for a test, or the countless hours working with your classmates preparing a science project, or the high school musical. Or perhaps you're thinking about the time you spent on the field or on the court practicing for the big matches. Or maybe you're thinking about the homecoming dance you went to with your first crush, or the friends you've made over the years who have propped you up and provided a shoulder during those trying moments. You've each had a unique experience in arriving at this point. It is a celebration of all you've grown and the journey you've taken to get here. And for some of you, that journey has been a testament of your resilience and perseverance. I see you. Your teachers, aunties, abuelas, parents, cousins, mentors, coaches, friends, and others see you too. All of our graduates have shown resilience and adaptability as lifelong learners during this unprecedented health crisis. Given this pandemic, I want to acknowledge that you didn't have the senior year that you imagined. The PPS graduate portrait describes students prepared to lead change in the world. You've shown a commendable level of self-agency and leadership. Our community describes in our vision for the school system that we should aim to produce graduates that are inclusive, collaborative problem solvers, transformative racial equity leaders, influential global stewards, and optimistic future-oriented graduates. The class of 2020 has demonstrated many of these traits. It's had more than just a pandemic to confront. You have used your voice, your advocacy, and leadership to speak out and act on a range of important issues of our time, both those local and global. You have advocated and marched, testified at board meetings, spoken truth to power, and insisted that we need to act now on preserving your future in your advocacy for climate justice. Climate change is real and we must do better. Portland showed up strong in the youth-led movement, and it's resulted in real changes for how we make sure that every student understands this important topic. And as our country and our city confronts its history and its institutionalized systems of oppression, once again, you have continued to march and speak out against bigotry and racism. You have understood that this is a time for reflection, learning, and action. You have been clear in your declarations that Black Lives Matter. Having witnessed your leadership, I am hopeful that we will live in a more socially just world. To prepare graduates to lead change and improve the world. That's our vision for our graduates, and I believe that what future Portlanders will read about in history books, it's just that you are the generation truly prepared to lead meaningful change and improve the world so that children and youth from all unique and diverse backgrounds have the equitable opportunity to thrive. So as you go on to the next leg of your journey, Rely on what you've learned, both about the world around you and also what you've learned about yourself. Be true to your sense of self-agency and moral compass. Pursue your emerging passions and continue to cultivate your gifts and talents. We are so very proud of you. Congratulations, class of 2020.
Grant Generals, seniors, it's been a wild ride. We made it through Old Grant, Marshall, and New Grant, but here we are, better than ever. Congrats, 2020.
Hello, I'm Jackson, and I am a part of the graduating class of 2020 at Grant High School. Here we are, Grant High School class of 2020. We are the last freshman class of the old Grant. We went into our 2 years of going across town, and now we are going to be the first graduating class of the new Grant High School. We are also the first graduating class who will receive our diplomas and walk up or drive through fashion. We came to Grant as 14-year-olds, unsure of the big halls, excited for off-campus lunch, sports, and more than 50 clubs which welcomed us to explore our interests and identities. High school as we knew it ended March 13th. We began adjusting and accepting online school and learning through COVID-19. But this did not stop us. We overcame the obstacles, and we finished our AP tests and junior and senior theses at home. The things I'd like you to consider taking with as you leave Grant High School are simple. Be courageous, be true to yourself, and be kind and accepting. Be courageous. Take action to improve the lives of others. Being courageous also means knowing when to listen. Winston Churchill said, "Courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen." The authenticity of the presenters and supporters of Race Forward demonstrated courage and leadership, embracing our own vulnerability and sharing our stories. Vulnerability was also seen when the members of the class of 2020 had the courage to lean into the conversation and were open to learning history and related experiences from perspectives other than their own. Be true to yourself. Don't worry about what other people think. There are moments in life when the right answer is not always obvious. In order to move forward, you must have trust in yourself, even when others do not. Be kind and accepting. Hatred and inhumanity continue to result in people dying. People of color dying every month in this country. Native American and African American fathers, mothers, and children die at the greatest rates in this country. The class of 2020 is going to improve our communities, all communities. We need care and compassion for all. This starts with basic kindness. Be someone that makes other people smile. We all know those classmates that check in on us and make sure that we're doing okay. Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu said, "Kindness in words creates confidence. Kindness in thinking creates profoundness, and kindness in giving creates love." As we continue to see the world around us plagued with immense problems, it's up to us, the next generation, to face these challenges head on, not only for ourselves, but for those who will live after us, in a world better or worse by our doing. Now, as we enter this new era of excitement in our lives, let us not forget the people who have not just supported us, but cared for us. I'm truly grateful for all the teachers, counselors, administrators, custodians, and staff who came to school every day devoted to helping us learn and grow. They saw the best in us even when we didn't see it in ourselves. They see us not just for who we are, but who we could become. Lastly, I want to say thank you to Principal Campbell, who is graduating with the class of 2020. She has been a great leader. For most of us, high school took 4 years, but for Principal Campbell, I think it took 36. I wish you courage and kindness. Congratulations to the class of 2020.
Those eyes are mine to love and cherish, to guard and guide along my way. Oh, God forbid that one should perish, that one astray. Back in
Welcome, class of 2020, families, caregivers, guests, and friends of the Grant community. Little did we know when the school year began that we would experience a global pandemic and schools across the nation would close in March for the remainder of the year. There are no adjectives to describe how difficult the school closure and distance learning has been for our school community. Teachers, staff, students, and families have experienced challenges and struggles as we switch to online learning for all. This was a huge undertaking for our community, and we continue to work on solving the challenges and inequities caused by distance learning. One constant throughout has been the commitment of teachers, families, and students to make the best of a situation that sometimes feels impossible. Thank you to the Grant community for your grace, patience, and support. Beginning in 2007, when I first became the principal of Grant High School, I referred to the class of 2020 as a special group. You were going to be the bookends of the modernization and relocation process, and I hadn't even met you yet. Bookends support and hold a collection or group of books. You certainly have held and supported the Grant community and kept us strong during your 4 years in high school. You were only sophomores when we moved to the Marshall campus, yet you upheld your vision and mission to return to your neighborhood school. You kept us focused on the prize and kept reminding us that we would return. You led conversations about how the spirit of Grant is not just the brick and mortar building, but who we are as people and how our actions exemplify what it means to be a Grant student and a member of this community. You were instrumental in keeping the Grant spirit alive. This year marks the first graduating class of the newly modernized Grant campus. I know this isn't how you intended to finish your senior year, and I feel saddened for this class and the things you have missed due to the school closure. You are, however, the first class to receive your diploma on the Grant campus. It is definitely a different ceremony than previous years, but it is unique and memorable nonetheless. You are starting new traditions. You are creating new memories. You brought many positive things to Grant High School: inspiration, joy, leadership, and a sense of community. I'd like to share a quote from a 2020 graduate. When asked about how he felt about working so hard to fundraise for the robotics competition, only to have it canceled due to the pandemic, Owen DeKalb replied, "As long as you have a good time making it, it was worth it." I hope you can find the memories that exemplify the good times you've had in your K-12 experience, the things that make it worth it. We all learn from adversity. We learn about our character, our resilience, and we find ways to move forward. This experience can make us cherish time with families and friends, appreciate things we may have taken for granted, and inspire us to work towards solving problems in the world we live in. Thank you to all Grant students and staff for working together in a very challenging time. Maya Angelou said, "You may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated. In fact, it may be necessary to encounter the defeats so you can know who you are, what you can rise from, and how you can still come out of it." While this may not be the senior year ending that you dreamed of, it is your senior year. It has its own uniqueness. You have been exposed to challenges your entire life. Your generation experienced 9/11, an increase in school shootings, and a school year cut short by a global pandemic. It is your generation that is standing up for racial equity. In the Race Forward activities at Grant, you have led our community in conversations that promote justice rather than judgment. In the face of adversity, you have demonstrated over and over that you will not be silenced or defeated. You have risen to challenges by organizing demonstrations. You supported policy changes that make our schools more equitable. You marched to raise awareness about climate change, and as a result, we will have a new course next year. You continue to work to make our school and community welcoming and safe for everyone. When we falter, you don't give up, but you come back with new ideas and plans to make things better. We have watched events unfold this past week that remind us that we all need to be anti-racist stewards. We need you, and you are our hope for the future. I can't wait to see how you make the world a better place. Portland Public Schools recently developed a document that includes our vision and mission as a school district. Part of the document is the graduate portrait, which includes qualities and skills we want our graduates to have. You are problem solvers, critical thinkers, racial equity leaders, resilient, powerful communicators, confident, global stewards, empathetic, and optimistic. You have met the vision we have for our graduates and are ready to not only face the world, but to make it better. You have given us so much during your 4 years at Grant, and we still need you. Please stay engaged and help us figure out ways to keep our community connected and how to carry on your legacy, how to prepare for the challenges ahead. At the end of every school year, I reflect on ways the seniors will be remembered and the legacies they will leave. I want you to know that I am proud of you and grateful that our paths have crossed. I will remember the class of 2020 as resilient, courageous, and extraordinary leaders. I'm inspired by your compassion and care for others, and your tenacity when facing challenges. As I move into retirement and graduate from high school, I would be honored to be remembered as the principal of the class of 2020. I appreciate all of you and wish you the best.